Welcome to an overview of the Colonial Women investigation. In this investigation, you're trying to figure out how to respond to the question, was there a common experience for women in colonial North America? Today, as you begin learning about colonial women, instead of memorizing names and dates from a textbook, which is really hard and not particularly interesting, you will instead read and hear several different perspectives. You'll discuss with your classmates, and then make your own decision about what it all means. Read, Inquire, Write lessons are called investigations. Throughout each investigation, you're looking for evidence to figure out how to respond to a central question. You'll notice that our investigations never say answer a central question. Instead, you'll hear us ask you to respond to a central question. That's because we believe there is not one right answer. There could be multiple answers. So we want you to respond to the question with evidence. Read, Inquire, Write investigations support you in building a case for your argument using evidence and reasoning. Over time, this kind of work will strengthen your reading, writing, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. In this investigation, you're trying to respond to the central question, was there a common experience for women in colonial North America? We will investigate women's experiences before the United States was even a country. Historically, in our country, women have not had the same access to rights, power, or opportunities as men. However, women have had similar and different experiences from each other based on their gender, race, wealth, education, etc. Even today, our country remains divided on gender issues. During the 2016 presidential election, some people refused to vote for Hillary Clinton because she was a woman. Some people refused to vote for Donald Trump because of his statements about women. Some people assumed all women would vote for Hillary Clinton. However, that did not happen. Women from different racial groups and social classes voted very differently in 2016. Anderson Cooper of CNN is holding a debate about whether or not American women have a common or similar experience after the 2016 election. He has asked experts on different time periods in American history to present speeches about women's common experiences. You are the expert on women's experiences during the colonial era, the time period leading up to the American Revolution. You have been asked to give a speech on Anderson Cooper's show. Your task is to use the sources to help you decide whether women in colonial North America shared a common experience. Then respond to someone who holds a different point of view, and prepare a written argument as a speech that you can give on Anderson Cooper's show. In this investigation, you will write a counter-argument. In this type of argument, the writer takes a strong position in response to a question or problem. You can see here that these two people have taken different positions regarding women in colonial North America. They then need to provide evidence and reasoning to back up their claim. Then the writer introduces a different point of view, also known as a counter-argument, and the writer critiques it. In other words, the writer shows why the counter-argument is weak. Our investigation will guide you step by step in developing your counter-argument. Let's review those steps now. First, you'll begin by building background and learning more about colonial North America. Next, your teacher will provide you with different sources to read about colonial women. You'll use these sources to determine whether colonial women shared a common experience. To help you read these sources, your teacher will provide you with this bookmark. The bookmark tool will help you understand, analyze, and evaluate sources about colonial women. The bookmark prompts you to make annotations, or detailed notes, about the sources. You'll do this as you read and after you read. For example, in this source, you can see that a student has circled important information about Mary Jemison, one woman who lived in colonial North America. The student also made notes about what those circles mean. You will do the same on your sources, and the bookmark tool will guide you. Making these annotations is really important because they will help you remember key ideas in the sources. This way, you don't have to try to remember everything or have to reread everything later. Instead, these annotations will make it easier to determine whether colonial women shared a common experience. In step 3, you will weigh the evidence presented in the sources about colonial women. You will begin by sorting the sources based on your understanding. Then you will construct and discuss the arguments based on what you have learned from these sources. Then in step 4, you will read and analyze a mentor text, similar to the type of counterargument you will write about colonial women. A mentor text is a sample of writing that shows you one way to organize and write a counterargument type of essay. It includes important parts such as claim, evidence, and reasoning, as well as a counterclaim, counter-evidence, and critique of the counterargument. It's a good example of the way you can structure your own response about colonial women. Just remember that the mentor text is not exactly what you'll write, and it is not a source. The mentor text is one example of what your essay might look like. Next, you'll use the planning graphic organizer. The graphic organizer is like a roadmap for your essay. It helps you organize your ideas about which sources are most reliable for learning about colonial women, and it will prompt you to give the key parts of a counterargument essay. You will use all of the work you've done so far to help you develop this roadmap. You'll look at your annotated sources, you'll determine what argument you think is strongest, and then make decisions to plan the essay you'll write. Then, in step 6, you're ready to write your speech and respond to the central question: was there a common experience for women in colonial North America? Be sure to use the sources you have read to write your counterargument. We know it's sometimes difficult to start writing. That's why we also include a useful language tool. You can look at this tool to choose from examples of how to introduce a counterclaim, evidence for a counterclaim, and even reasoning to critique the counterargument. Finally, after you have spent some time writing, pause to use the reflection tool. The reflection tool will help you review what you have written so far and set goals for your next steps. The reflection tool reminds you about what to include in your argument. Let's review quickly the 7 steps you'll take throughout this investigation. First, building background. Second, read and analyze sources using the bookmark tool. Third, weigh the evidence. Fourth, analyze the mentor text. Fifth, complete the planning graphic organizer, deciding on the argument you will make. Sixth, use the useful language tool as you draft your essay. Seventh, review and improve your essay using the reflection tool. As you work through the investigation, make sure to talk with your classmates and others who can support you as you learn about and respond to the central question: was there a common experience for women in colonial North America? Good luck!